So this is still scientific notation. But notice up here that I have a very, 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 very small number. Why do I know? How do I know that it's very small? The reason I know it's very small is because it's a decimal number. Okay? And if it's a decimal, that means it turns into a fraction. And what you already know about fractions is that they have to have a negative exponent. We learned that last week. So all fractions have negative exponents. Really, really, really small numbers will have negative exponents. Now, what you already know, you learned in lesson 1.8 is how to make this a single digit times the power of 10. Round it. How to round it. So in order to round it, we went over here to the first leading digit that is not a 0. That is that 1. This 8 told that 1 to go up. So when I rounded this, I got 2 times the power of 10. But what power of 10? Well, here's what I know about the power of 10. I know the power of 10 has to be a negative power because it's a fraction. Decimal. And the next thing I need to know is how many times do I move this decimal? I move it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times in order to get there. Therefore, in lesson 1.8, I did 2 times 10 to the negative 8th power. This is a single digit times a power of 10. We just rounded it. Now, what's different about today? Well, today's lesson 1.9, we don't want to round it. We want it to be the actual scientific notation. It is exactly the same thing as this one. However, we're not rounding this. We're not going to 1.82. What we have to know is this. We have to know that the first number, again, the leading digit, the leading factor, has to be in between 1 and 10. And remember what I told you, it's allowed to be 1, not allowed to be 10. So when I move this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times, my decimal is now sitting right there. I multiplied by 10 to the negative 8th power. Okay, I made this number 10 smaller. So here's what I got to do. This is 1.82 times 10 to the negative 8th power. No different from the last one. Okay, this is the same thing. However, this time we're not rounding it. We're not estimating it. We want the exact answer. In order to get the exact answer, here's some things that can help you mathematically. Number 1, it's a decimal. It is a very small number. That right away, guys, is telling you this has to be negative. Okay, it's got to be a negative. If it's a decimal, because the decimal is a fraction. Remember, we learned last week about negative exponents. They turn into fractions. I taught you that last week. This is the rate. It's the same number. Notice that I kept all the digits that followed it until I ran out. Okay, so it's 1.82. I kept them all. I didn't turn them into zeros. I keep them all because we wanted the exact same thing for scientific notation. What's important about scientific notation? Here it is. And then we're done with this, and then you better understand this. This number, the leading factor, must always be in between 1 and 10. It's allowed to be 1, not allowed to be 10. This number is always multiplied by a power of 10, not a power of 100, not 1,000. It's a power of 10. That's why from the beginning of this school year, we've been talking about powers of 10, powers of 10, powers of 10. Because power of 10 makes things easier by moving the decimal. It makes our math faster. It's more simple. That's what we're trying to do. Simple. Those are important things. If this is not between 1 and 10, or this is not a power of 10, it is not scientific notation. It may look like scientific notation. It may smell like it. It may feel like scientific notation, but it's not unless this is the first factors between 1 and 10, and this is a power of 10. Positive if it's a big number, negative if it's a fraction or a tiny decimal number. Okay, make sure you understand that about scientific notation. We are going to be adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing these things. Instead of doing all way big numbers, we're going to do it with these. And I'm going to show you how all the things that we have learned makes that easy. It actually makes it easier.